The story begins with the basic question: do you believe in destiny? The setting is dark, enveloped in a bluish aura that highlights a character slowly falling. The words indicate that, depending on the choices made, the end may be different, highlighting the importance of decisions throughout life. The protagonist continues to fall, now further away, surrounded by these lines, questioning the idea of destiny and how it is linked to the concept of choice. A girl is kneeling on the ground, with visible wounds, while a desperate scream echoes around her. Giant black claws approach her, intensifying the tension of the scene. Behind her, a person hurriedly tries to flee, moving towards danger. The terror on the girl's face is evident as she pleads not to be left behind. The scene changes to a boy running in panic as he watches another figure be launched into the air, wrapped in black threads. He tries to warn others of the impending danger. While some continue to run, others seem trapped by fear. In the final frame, the escape seems to approach a dead end when an immense cliff appears ahead. Despair grows as people look for an escape route, knowing that time is running out. A creature with a bizarre and frightening appearance runs across the floor. Its movements are fast and aggressive, accompanied by intense screams and hisses. Behind the rocks, a young girl hides, her expression marked with fear as she tries to protect herself, hoping the creature won't find her. She is cornered, knees to her chest, muttering to herself, trying not to be discovered. The creature gets closer and closer. Its threatening presence fills the environment. The girl's thoughts become more intense, desperation taking over as she keeps repeating that she doesn't want to be found. Suddenly, the monster appears directly above her, with a distorted mouth and piercing eyes. Absolute terror is reflected in the young woman's eyes, unable to react as the creature appears ready to attack. A blue-haired girl screams in despair, tears streaming down her face, while a monstrous creature advances at speed, its open mouth emitting sharp, threatening sounds. The scene is chaotic, with screams and sounds of destruction in the background. Then, a young man, injured and leaning against a rock, observes the situation with calculating eyes. He reflects on the difficulty of the challenge, mentioning the location as being the ghost star and acknowledging that the test for novices is extremely difficult, possibly beyond their capabilities. He thinks about what he could expect if he survives. The last scene shows the grotesque creature rising on the horizon, ready to attack once again, while the boy contemplates the consequences of being there, realizing that it will be difficult to survive, even for a few more minutes. The character introduces himself as Jong Kai, explaining that he is participating in a test for newbies on a planet called Ghost Star. He reveals that this star suddenly appeared outside Earth's orbit 50 years ago, causing drastic changes. Despite the unexpected appearance, the ghost star did not cause natural disasters that affected Earth's orbit. However, the nature of the Earth has been profoundly altered. Animals and plants, after the emergence of the star, began to transform into monsters known as Beast God, spreading chaos throughout the planet, leaving humanity in a constant fight for survival. The appearance of the beast gods is described as something that human technology cannot resist. These colossal creatures destroy everything around them, throwing humanity into a desperate situation. Cities are in ruins, and destruction seems inevitable in the face of these uncontrollable forces. During this period of despair, humans suddenly discover the existence of magical teleportation arrays that have appeared on Earth. They offer a new hope of escape. People gather around one of these matrices, a portal of glowing light, observing it as an opportunity for survival. By passing through these portals, humans can be teleported to the ghost star in digital form, offering a new chance in an unfamiliar and challenging environment. This becomes the new path to survival as chaos on Earth continues. Upon arriving at the Phantom Star, humans discover that it is a hyper-real digital world. The environment appears vibrant, with exotic landscapes, lush forests, and floating mountains, suggesting a new reality full of mysteries and challenges. In this world, humans can change their professions and acquire new skills, as if they were characters in a game. They can be upgraded with special values, equipment, and skills, gaining powerful attributes that help them survive in this hostile environment. Furthermore, they discover that, by reaching a certain level of enhancement in the Ghost Star, it is possible to bring these supernatural abilities and powers back to Earth, giving hope for a new way to combat the creatures that threaten their existence in the real world. When humans reach a certain level of power in the Ghost Star, they will become as powerful in the real world as they are in this digital universe. This will allow them to physically fight beast gods, terrifying creatures that previously seemed invincible. The urgency of the situation becomes clear. To survive in the chaotic world devastated by the presence of these creatures, humans need to obtain the power of the Ghost Star. The expression of one of the characters reflects the shock and realization of the importance of this mission as he is faced with the cruel reality that this is the only way out. The individuals who venture into the Phantom Star are called explorers, and one of them is shown in a critical situation, facing a huge creature. The battle is fierce, and the feeling of despair takes over. One of the explorers realizes that he is the only survivor of this brutal battle as the creature emits a deafening scream, intensifying the atmosphere of tension and imminent danger. The character finds himself in a critical situation, trapped on the top of a mountain with a horrendous monster chasing him. There is nowhere to run, and he begins to question his choices. He regrets leaving his family behind, traveling to the Phantom Star, only to find himself in a life or death situation. As he reflects, he thinks about his sister, who suffered from a young age so that he could participate in the test in the Phantom Star. In a flashback, she expresses her desire to study at a good school. His older brother, despite battling kidney failure, still works hard to save the money needed for the surgery, as without it he would not survive more than 2 months. The guilt and weight of expectations fall on him. Even after all of his family's sacrifice, he finds himself unable to complete his mission and wonders if his coming to the Ghost Star was just a way to waste his family's savings and march towards an inevitable death. The character continues to reflect on his desperate situation, realizing that in addition to not having completed the job transfer, he questions whether he is just wasting his family's resources by waiting for death. So he reacts with determination, refusing to accept failure. Instead of waiting for death, he decides to fight for his survival, especially for the sake of his family. His expression changes, his eyes shine with new resolve, and he launches into a risky move, betting everything on the only chance he has left to survive. He runs towards danger, ready to face the consequences, knowing that this decision could be his last hope. The protagonist is seen falling from a great height, being chased by the monstrous creature that emits a deafening scream as it follows him. Just when everything seems lost, a digital notification sound is heard, drawing attention. Soon after, a screen appears congratulating him on his behavior, which is compared to that of a gambler. The message informs him that through his bold and risky actions, he has an extremely rare chance of unlocking a new career. The sequence continues, and the screen reveals that he has successfully completed the profession transfer, being congratulated on obtaining a secret and respectable career, gambler. The image of a roulette wheel and floating dice symbolizes his new position, reinforcing the idea that his gambles and risky decisions led him to achieve this rare and powerful transformation. The character is lying on the ground, coughing as he tries to get up after his fall. He looks around, confused about the situation, as drops seem to fall softly. When he gets up, he realizes that he is next to a river and wonders how he survived the fall from the cliff. The wounds he had suffered are completely healed, which leaves him intrigued. Suddenly, a digital notification appears, accompanied by a sound, capturing his attention. A message explains that due to his successful transfer to his new profession, he gained attributes that saved him from certain death. Then, an imposing figure appears, a woman with silver hair and grand clothes, radiating power. Her presence is mysterious and appears to be directly connected to the events that have just occurred, suggesting that she will play an important role in his future. The protagonist finds himself in front of the mysterious woman, who seems to be related to the system that governs the Phantom Star. She congratulates him on his successful transfer and gives him an overview of the professional talents he has acquired as a gambler. Among the talents is the ability called Double, which allows him to double the effects of rewards or punishments received by the system. Additionally, there is a chance to activate a special effect that can multiply these rewards or punishments by up to 10 times. The woman then reveals that he has a second talent called Super Critical Hit, which increases critical damage by 200% and grants a 1% critical strike chance on each attack. The protagonist is surprised to realize that he has 2 talents, while most people only receive one after changing professions. Finally, the screen displays the character's current attributes, confirming his new status as a level 1 explorer in the gambler career, with all of his skills and attributes described. He is now prepared to use his new powers in future challenges. The protagonist talks to the female figure, observing the display of his new attributes and abilities. He notices that his critical hit chances and critical damage have been significantly increased with his new profession of gambler. His excitement grows as he understands that the duplication effect can make him incredibly powerful, allowing him to become much stronger than normal. He reflects on how much his abilities can be enhanced over time, and the idea of doubling his critical damage makes him excited, knowing he can become a fearsome force. Although his current critical strike is low, the future potential fills him with confidence. As he looks around, he ponders the weapon he previously wielded, now dissipating, and reflects on how the Ghost Star is a place where he can become much stronger than he ever could on Earth. He recognizes that no matter how weak he is compared to other explorers, his new abilities will give him an invaluable advantage. The protagonist reflects on his new profession of gambler and how destiny led him to this point. He looks at the weapon he wields and thinks about the possibilities of using his skills to improve his life and protect his family. A digital message appears, confirming that he has successfully completed the transfer and instructing him to arrive in Shenwu City within 7 days, a new challenge awaiting him. With renewed determination, he understands that completing this task will be the next step in his journey as an explorer. He sees a digital map that plots the path to Shenwu and recognizes that time is limited. When visualizing his route, he realizes that the journey will be difficult and dangerous, but necessary for his progress. The final scene shows the character walking towards the sunset, ready to face the challenges that lie ahead, knowing that the skills he acquired in the Phantom Star will be crucial to his success both in this digital world and upon his return to Earth. The protagonist walks through a forest, reflecting on the consequences of dying in the Ghost Star. Although death does not mean the definitive end, as he could return to his starting point on Earth, it would still be a major setback. As he walks, he notices small, seemingly weak creatures watching him from the shadows, increasing his caution. Suddenly, a familiar scream echoes through the forest, taking the protagonist by surprise. He turns, recognizing the sound and wondering where it comes from. Advancing towards the source of the sound, he sees a figure fighting a ferocious creature. A desperate man tries to defend himself, conjuring a ball of energy in his hands as he screams for help, terrified of an imminent monster attack. Yun Zilu, in the middle of the fight, screams at Kai, questioning why he is there and asking him to leave him and run away. He is surrounded by the land snakes, which pose a lethal threat. Zilu believes the situation is desperate, with little hope of survival. However, Kai ignores the request and advances, wielding his weapon with determination. He shouts at Zilu not to be afraid as he makes a decisive attack against one of the snakes. Kai's attack is precise, penetrating directly into the creature's body, surprising Zilu, who is shocked to see that Kai managed to defeat one of the snakes with ease. Zilu, in shock, watches the scene in disbelief, questioning how Kai was able to kill one of the feared snakes, something that seemed impossible moments ago. Kai reflects on his strategy of using Yun Zilu to attract the serpent's attention, which allows him to attack successfully, However, he soon realizes that he has become the creature's new target. The snakes turn to him quickly, advancing towards him. Kai reflects on his strategy of using Yunzilu to attract the serpent's attention, which allows him to attack successfully. However, he soon realizes that he has become the creature's new target. The snakes turn to him quickly, advancing towards him. Yunzilu, alarmed, shouts that snakes are very agile and that the situation seems to be out of control. However, Kai responds confidently, unfazed by the warning. He manages to avoid the snake's attacks with ease, surprising Zilu, who is incredulous when he sees Kai's ability to dodge the creature's quick attacks. Kai explains that, since changing professions and improving his attributes, he has become much more agile, even surpassing the speed of snakes. He smiles with determination, demonstrating his newfound superiority. Kai holds his weapon tightly and orders Yunzilu to continue attracting the creature's attention. Yun, without hesitation, follows the instructions, while Kai takes advantage of the distraction to execute his next move. After a quick and coordinated attack, the snakes are eliminated. Yunzilu is surprised to realize that even with his participation as a distraction, it was Kai who actually defeated the creatures. He watches the snakes lying on the ground, amazed at Kai's efficiency. Kai, in turn, reflects on his performance. Although his physical strength was considered low, he was able to defeat enemies with ease, thanks to his new weapon and his improved Ghost Star abilities. He realizes that the weapon's power makes up for his lack of physical strength, which makes him smile, satisfied with his progress. Yunzilu expresses indignation in a comical way, hugging Kai and exaggeratedly praising him for having managed to defeat the snakes, asking how he achieved such a feat. Kai laughs at the situation and, casually, mentions that he was lucky and acquired a new profession, gambler. Yunzilu, in turn, reveals that his own profession is not bad either, being a martial artist. He proudly displays his attributes, which include strength, agility, and physical power. Kai is impressed, commenting that Yun's profession is among the top 5 in the Shengyao Kingdom, which explains his ability to resist the snake's attack for so long. The narrative then diverts to a reflection on the countless possible professions in Estrella Phantasma. No one knows for sure how many there are, but the first thing all explorers experience when they get there is the profession change, which depends on the materials acquired before entering the game. It is highlighted that rich people often spend millions to acquire powerful profession exchange materials. They have the advantage of entering the Phantom Star already transferred directly to extremely strong professions, such as wizards, knights, and assassins, guaranteeing an advantageous position from the beginning. On the other hand, the poorest are only able to purchase the cheapest and most basic materials, which puts them at a disadvantage. These profession-switching materials often result in characters with weak and limited abilities. Furthermore, for those without many resources, changing professions can even be random, bringing even more uncertainty and difficulty to progress in the world of Phantom Star. The difference between the rich and the poor within the profession exchange system is clear, highlighting the inequalities present even within this digital universe. Amid the tranquility of the forest, Kai carefully observed the mysteries around him. He came across intriguing information about body handling, where creatures and materials could be collected in surprising ways. A character at his side explained how corpses were transformed into codes to facilitate storage and sale, something that seemed intriguing and practical at the same time. Meanwhile, Kai felt curiosity growing within him. He analyzed the others around him, noticing that some stood out for their combat skills and the imposing presence they conveyed. He reflected on the technique and dominance they displayed, realizing that the situation was about to escalate. With his heart racing, he prepared himself for what was to come, aware that each choice could lead him to new challenges. The environment around him seemed to vibrate with anticipation, and Kai knew that he, too, had a crucial role to play in this journey. Kai came across a new figure, a girl with long pink hair who introduced herself as Siu. She seemed nervous, struggling with the uncertainty of facing challenges alone and seeking the opportunity to join someone on her journey. Her expression revealed a mix of vulnerability and determination, asking for help in a world full of danger. Kai's companions were wary, worried about the possibility of being tricked. The atmosphere changed when the girl, realizing her fear, insisted that she could not be alone, highlighting her skills as a doctor. This revelation piqued Kai's curiosity, and he felt there might be more to her than met the eye. She went on to explain the importance of coming together in adverse situations, emphasizing the need for collaboration in such a hostile environment. The interaction between them began to flow, and Kai felt attracted to the idea of forming a team, especially when he saw the girl's courage in the face of the dangers that surrounded them. The desire to face challenges together began to take shape, and the trio prepared for a new stage in their journey. After a tense moment in which an attack almost took one of his allies, Kai reflected on his recent abilities and how they could have changed his destiny. He was getting used to the idea that fighting and danger were now part of his life and that he needed to adapt quickly to survive. The situation became more hopeful when Siu, the pink-haired girl, took the initiative to introduce herself. With a shy smile, she expressed her gratitude for Kai's help, and the connection between them began to strengthen. Trust was building, and the desire to work together was becoming palpable. Meanwhile, a new scenario was emerging in another part of the world. A huge futuristic portal, symbolizing the transition between dimensions, stood out among the buildings of a modern city. What happened in that mysterious location could have significant implications for Kai and his friend's journey. The interconnection between these two worlds was about to be revealed, promising new challenges and discoveries. In a modern research room, a scientist was reviewing data on what was occurring in the world of trials, analyzing information about the new recruits and their interactions with the hostile environment. He was excited about the possibilities that the new clocks, an innovative technology, could bring to the participants and that could change the course of the trials on the Ghost Star. Soon, an imposing woman entered the room, introduced as Sui Lamlin, an instructor in charge of the new recruits. Her demanding presence and the authority she emanated were undeniable. The scientist quickly adjusted, aware that the decisions that would be made could impact the future of many. During the conversation, the woman revealed that Kai's sister, Siu, was in a group that had formed, and this brought a new dimension to what was happening. Sui expressed concerns about team formation and the rules governing the competitive environment. She made it clear that the more people were together in the tests, the more challenging the situations would become, and the dynamics between the participants could affect their chances of survival. Tension was accumulating, as the fight for life and victory was just beginning, with many uncertainties ahead. As Kai and his companions advanced through the forest, a sense of danger began to intensify. The possibility of attracting monsters became more real with each step, a worry that hung over them like a shadow. Kai, now armed and determined, kept his guard up, knowing that any carelessness could cost him dearly. The three stood together, ready to face whatever was lurking in the darkness. Sui and the scientist discussed the seriousness of the situation unfolding in the world of trials. The scientist revealed that 2 hybrid humanoid beings had been detected, arousing Sui's concern. The possibility of a real threat to new recruits was coming to fruition, and this brought new urgency to the conversation. The gravity of the situation increased with the revelation that death in the Ghost Star world would not cause physical harm to the body on Earth, but rather represented the loss of its characters in the game. However, the experience of dying in this virtual world was extremely realistic, causing a profound psychological impact. Scientists knew this could lead to devastating consequences for the participants. A past experiment was mentioned, where a man, consumed by fear, had lost his sanity after being slowly devoured by a monster. This haunting memory indicated that the danger was real, and that the fight for survival was more than just a matter of life and death. It was also a battle against the horrors that could break a human being's mind. Sui was determined to act. her expression reflecting a combination of determination and concern. She mentioned that she needed to rescue a recruit named Nguyen, apparently the only survivor of a recent attack. The tension in the room increased as the team realized that the scenario was worse than they imagined. Meanwhile, scientists were analyzing the data and realized that 2 humanoid beings had been identified in a specific area but now appeared to have been killed. Confusion hung over everyone, wondering how this could have happened. The scientists exchanged perplexed looks, trying to understand what had happened in a matter of minutes. In an intense scene that rewinds time 3 minutes, the true nature of the threat is revealed. A grotesque monster appeared, advancing with fury, its sharp claws reflecting the light as it howled, announcing the terror that was to come. The brutality of the attack made it clear that the fight for survival would be even more challenging than the group had already anticipated. Panic gripped the group when a grotesque, humanoid-looking monster emerged from the shadows, causing screams of horror among them. The creature's nature was terrifying, and everyone realized they were about to face a deadly challenge. Kai and his companions prepared to react, adrenaline coursing through their veins. Kai's friend instinctively suggested that Siu be the first to move, recognizing that every second counted. The sense of urgency intensified as he turned, calling out to Kai in an attempt to ensure the group's safety. The situation was critical, and emotions were boiling as everyone tried to find the best survival strategy. Kai, focused, understood that their lives were at stake. He brandished his weapon, determined to protect his friends and himself. With fierce concentration, he began to formulate a plan. The awareness that they could not continue to be persecuted for long motivated him to act. Kai knew the battle wouldn't be easy, but the fight for survival was the only option. With each blow from the monster, the desire to escape became pressing. Kai was prepared to do whatever was necessary, aware that what was at stake was more than just their lives. It was the hope of a future in which they could overcome the horrors that surrounded them together. With a precise blow, Kai managed to hit the monster, piercing its flesh. The impact of the blade resulted in a gush of blood, and the scream of the grotesque being echoed in the forest, mixing with the surrounding chaos. The wounded monster seemed even more enraged, and Kai found himself facing a new wave of attack. He barely had time to breathe before he realized that the threat was still very much alive and that the battle had just begun. Meanwhile, other monsters appeared in the distance, revealing themselves as an army of humanoid creatures ready to attack. The environment was full of danger, and Kai realized that the situation was more serious than he imagined. He had to act quickly, coordinating with his friends, deciding how they could face this ravenous horde and escape with their lives. The fight for survival took them to an extreme, where every decision could mean the difference between life and death. Kai was aware that he needed to use all his skills and the group's strength to overcome the beasts that surrounded them. The battle was just beginning, and everyone's fate was in their hands. Kai was immersed in a sea of despair and determination, aware that his life hung in the balance in the ordeal. He looked around, realizing the gravity of the situation he found himself in, as the pressure mounted and time seemed scarce. The idea of being eliminated at that early stage scared him deeply, but he knew he needed to fight until the end. Meanwhile, Siu and the group watched anxiously, worried about Kai's fate. Fear took over them, and the urgency to act grew. Their determination to save Kai brought them together at a critical moment, and they were ready to face any challenge that came their way. Elsewhere, a friend of Kai's, breathless and determined, was searching for a way to help. The transition between the real world and the world of trials was about to come to fruition, and he was preparing to intervene in some way. He was fully aware that Kai was in danger and that he couldn't stay still. The scene quickly changed, revealing a conversation between 2 people about Zhu, a character who also faced his own struggles. One of the callers mentioned how Zhu, despite his strong appearance, was actually shy and insecure. The possibility of facing a monster could be devastating for him, a reflection that applied to many in that chaotic world. A cry of despair erupted amid the tension, echoing the concerns of one of Kai's friends. He rebelled against the idea that Kai could be defeated or abandoned, forcefully stating that he would never leave the situation in a cowardly way. This fervent determination resonated with everyone present, intensifying the sense of urgency and solidarity within the group.